Hey, what's up guys? iOS 11 Beta 6 hit today. Unexpectedly faster than usual, Apple's going to be ramping up these beta releases as we get closer and closer to the official release here in just 1 month. Really exciting time. We'll be running this on our devices here very soon. So for this update, actually quite a bit. Let's go ahead and get into all of those details. So starting with the lock screen. And again, as usual, on the left will be the newer version, Beta 6. On the right is Beta 5 for comparison. So the unlock animation has changed. It's returned to the original from Beta 1. Go ahead and unlock those for you. As you can see, instead of just a slide up and bam, it appears, you kind of get a nice animation where it meets you and greets you with the icons, just like that. It's really cool, a lot more lifelike. Now with this animation comes a change I don't like. Check this out. Actually being able to use your lock screen is a little bit slower on the newer version. Because of the animation, it delays the input time, so you can actually swipe on the older one a little bit faster than the new one. So once again, for clarification, I'll swipe them at the same time. You get a weird glitch effect over here when you try to do that. Over here, it's much faster. You can do that almost instantly. Now, when you go to play music in the music player and then you pause it, you no longer get the music widget popping up on lock screen when it's paused. The music has to actively be playing for it to show up on the cover sheet. And the music player animation when bringing down the cover sheet has returned. Notice that it kind of swoops in instead of just appearing with the cover sheet. A little bit closer here. As you can see, it's got a very nice animation there. Now the actual source for the audio output, as you can see here, Phone Rebels AirPods, this menu is working now. It actually shows you the output source. Previously, even if you would change it to the other source, it would not reflect that change over here in that little text where it says iPhone. As you can see, the source is the AirPods, but it's still showing iPhone there. And in the same menu, when there isn't another device available, it will still show a check mark next to your device where the audio is playing from. Previously, it wouldn't. And a user reports that from the same menu, there is a new CarPlay icon sitting right next to the CarPlay audio source. So entering the landscape lock screen or cover sheet interface here for notifications, there have been a lot of adjustments here. So on top is Beta 6, and you'll notice the time has been moved a little bit downwards and to the left, making more room for your notifications. And the actual top status bar area no longer has a blur in it. If you'll notice, it has a blur there. On the top one, it's completely clear. And now it says no older notifications when there is nothing there, instead of previously there was nothing at all. Now swiping over to this widgets page, you'll notice that the search bar has been compacted. It's been made smaller. The search results themselves have also been compacted, as you can see here. And when I actually type in the very same thing on both, you'll notice that the search results are different as Apple has been optimizing these. You get much more relevant results now on Beta 6 instead of on Beta 5. And when you take a screenshot in the landscape cover sheet menu, you'll notice that the actual share sheet menu is now properly set. Previously, it would appear like this, especially when your device is still rotated sideways. Now it appears properly. And from the lock screen, activating emergency SOS now triggers haptic feedback on applicable devices with the haptic engine. So you'll feel a slight feedback there. Now jumping into the actual device, you'll notice if you have a 3D Touch device, the responsiveness of 3D Touch has been improved a lot. Previously, it was really sticky. It didn't work right, especially on my iPhone 6s model. And now it definitely is more responsive. And getting in even closer, Apple has once again made changes to the icons on the stock iOS home screen. So the biggest one is going to have to be Maps. That includes the new Apple Park campus with the big spaceship looking thing there. Might be a little confusing for some people, but it definitely gets the point across. It's a little bit more bubblier. Also, the App Store, can't say I like that one. Honestly, it looks like the lottery logo here in Oregon. It removes any detail from it. It's very bubbly. It looks like hot dogs crossing each other or something. Seriously, it's a terrible change. Also, the clock application has bolder time, so they did change that one as well. And the reminders application has been swapped backwards. In all of these betas, I've been noticing Apple has been going backwards and forwards and backwards on a lot of design and changes in general, so that is kind of interesting to see. If you actually 3D touch on the App Store icon, you'll notice the redeem icon reflects that hot dog App Store icon over there. The wallet application no longer has a 3D touch menu to add a card. That's been removed. And when connecting to AirPods, actually get a really cool animation now. It is animated, so the devices themselves will start to spin around. There we go. So I actually got it to trigger. As you can see, you get a really neat animation where the devices just spin around like that. Super cool. And I actually got an error message I've never seen personally before, so I may be wrong about this, but it seems like it actually shows you when an AirPod is not connected or not present, so it gives you a little warning sign. And when actually playing music in the control center, the music widget, you can see there is a new animation in the top right. It's sort of like a gentle ebb and flow, and it's a solid blue now instead of white in the previous beta. The screen mirroring widget itself on the platter, you'll see looking for Apple TV text, or previously there was none unless there was an Apple TV already being found. Same change in the control center. The wallet no longer has a 3D touch platter, as that has been removed. So from both devices, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect from Wi-Fi. And if we actually jump into the settings, you'll notice that you get a new text description here. Instead of joining no networks automatically is disabled from Control Center, it now says new Wi-Fi network connections have been turned off from Control Center. So it doesn't completely turn it off, just disables temporarily. Also, it no longer says auto join disabled on certain networks after immediately disconnecting from them. Both have auto join disabled, but the old beta actually let you know that, the new one no longer does. Now in the Landscape Control Center, scrolling has been fixed. So previously in beta 5 it did not work. Now horizontally scrolling does work again. Now this is a very tough one to catch without Photoshop, but Apple has actually added slight shadows to the text in 3D touch platters that are hanging outside of the actual interface. So that applies to any menu, but in this one in particular for a screen recording, you can see that there is a slight shadow that has been added. Open up Photos and you get this new splash screen, which has been updated, depth effect, live photos editing, and live photos effects. The screenshot editing menu has been fixed. As you can see, the done button no longer overlaps with the status bar and is actually clickable now in beta 6. In the TV application, you'll notice there is a new splash screen with some new icons up there, and you no longer have to scroll to use all of it. It's a lot cleaner now. Very interesting change I only found because I barely noticed to put it into Photoshop, but the actual dial button in the phone application has reduced contrast. Apple removed some of the coloring for it and made it a little bit duller. Some changes in the Messages application. So first off, down here, you'll notice there is a new icon, as it has a hidden App Store behind the actual App Store icon, letting you know that there are more options behind it. And all throughout this interface, you'll notice there is a new hot dog logo for the App Store reflected here. And in the Activity app, you can actually see your workout route in satellite view. This was posted by a Reddit user. As you can see, it's no longer limited to just the standard map view. In the Apple Watch App Store section, you'll notice the bottom search and App Store icons have a very minuscule but updated hot dog Apple logo as well. When downloading an app from the App Store, there is a slightly taller interface to make room for a larger install button. In case you missed that one, this one has a blue border for you to find easier. For some reason, this awful trend with Apple continues, and that's removing wallpapers. More wallpapers have been removed from the live section. All of these are gone, so 6 are gone and the rest have been reorganized up there. In Mail settings, you get a new permission for Siri and Access, Notifications, and Cellular Data section up there. And in Messages, the text waiting for activation is darker and easier to read now. In the Music settings, Show Star Ratings is back. It disappeared in an earlier beta and now it's back. In Photo settings, there is a new section for permissions to allow photo access to Siri and search. In the new AirDrop menu, Apple has added a description up top and changed the one on the bottom. In the restriction settings, if we scroll down, the cellular data tab is actually now restricted, where previously you could access it without the passcode. I don't know why Apple did this, but in the display and brightness settings, they actually removed auto brightness, so you're no longer able to control that directly from in here, but you can go all the way into accessibility and then go into display accommodations and find it here. Don't know why they would do that, such a backwards move. Now, when using the Smart Invert feature on beta 6, it no longer glitches and reverses the colors back to an inverted phase, so that works much better. And I noticed it's actually a lot snappier. It works very well on beta 6, much faster than previously. Now, with reduce motion enabled in the accessibility settings, if you go ahead and swipe up on the control center, you'll notice there is no longer a blur effect in the background. It just fades straight into the control center or your apps. One step closer to a motionless device when it comes to animations. And if we swipe down on the cover sheet, you'll notice it's already pre-rendered. There's no blur effect to open it up, also with reduced motion enabled. Now, a bug I had using the app switcher in iOS 11 beta 5, where you would swipe them really fast and they would go blank like that, has been fixed, so that's back to normal. Also found by a Reddit user, trusting your computer for the first time to transfer files between it no longer requires Touch ID, but rather a passcode. And just a few changes that I missed from beta 5, I'd also like to share with you. When playing an audio file from the Files application, you get a waveform here, so you can actually see the substance of the audio file. And when your battery life drops below 20% in iOS 11 beta 5 and up, you are no longer able to activate the flashlight icon, as you get an error message that your battery life is critical. The Lenny text emoticon is now properly displaying. Previously, it was like really scrunched up in beta 4 and earlier. This showed up in beta 5, but AirPods now display battery life in the AirPlay devices menu. And a very interesting one, when actually looking at a photo and you go to the tab view, it will not show the address bar up top, thus making your content or the photo easier to see in this tab view. Kind of a cool little change. And Apple actually updated the completely dead battery logo on beta 5 and up. So previously it was the old style from iOS 7 or so, and now it's got a cleaner look. Seriously got a very impressive score. It's been very impressive on these later versions of iOS 11. So 5939 multi, and compared to the old one, pretty close there. So overall stability wise, it's getting better. Like I said, we'll only keep getting better from here until the final release in under a month. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.